Now let's start with one of those headlines. The community of Witsand at Atlantis on the Cape West Coast brought the area to a standstill today. Residents went on the rampage demanding service delivery in their area. A number of people were injured as police fired rubber bullets. They used stun grenades and tear gas to disperse angry crowds. Angry protesters barricaded roads and went on the rampage for most of the day. Police had their hands full trying to disperse those demonstrators who fought back by throwing stones. Some were injured as police fired rubber bullets and used those grenades, stun grenades. The community is protesting over a lack of basic services in the area. The area remains tense with a heavy police presence. For the latest, we speak to our reporter, Nomawethu Solwandle. Nomawethu, thank you for being with us. Tell us what we're seeing right here.
Well, a very good evening to you, Francis. I can say that things are a whole lot calmer than what we saw in the early hours of this morning. I mean, we arrived here at around 8 o'clock this morning, and as we came in, the roads were barricaded with burning tires, with trees, and we asked the police officer if we could come in because we'd like to speak to some of the people that are part of this protest. And what the police officer said, Francis, was that we could continue and we could go in, but he could not guarantee our safety as the situation was very, very volatile. And this was not a lie, Francis. I mean, rubber bullets were flying all over the place, stun grenades, tear gas, as the police tried to disperse the angry crowds. Now, we've been speaking to some of the community members here just to find out what are the issues that they have here in this area. And they've mentioned that this was a service delivery protest. They are saying that they do not have clinics here, police stations, schools, taxi ranks. They feel like they are the forgotten people here in the Western Cape. There were some community leaders that we also spoke to. We know that they had a meeting with the municipality a little bit earlier on. I'm now going to speak to one of them, Mr. Tobile Maseti. So you and other community leaders actually went and spoke to the leaders here in this area. How did that meeting go?
Actually, the meeting, I would say, it was just a little bit not well, because what's happening, we don't believe that the city of Cape Town is giving us exactly what we need. Because what we need the proper plan so that this company can build the whole. Because the residents are angry through that the city of Cape Town is playing hide and seek to give the community what they need.
I just want to interject there, Mr. Maseti. You know, I spoke to our viewers that this is a service delivery protest. I've mentioned things like clinics, police stations. But of course, the biggest bone of contention here is that hall. Just tell us about the donor coming forward to say they're willing to build this hall for you, and what has happened since then?
Actually, we have been in negotiations with the donor, with the city of Cape Town, but now there was not a clear plan from the city of Cape Town because they were not willing. But now, because there is also other issues that the community has mentioned, in our meeting, when we were asking them about those issues, they just said they are in the pipeline, which I cannot explain what is the meaning of the pipeline.
So will you be calling the protest off? Are you happy with some of the things that were said in that meeting, or will this protest continue?
The community is saying we can call the protest off, but one of the things that is worrying the community now, which is just a recent development, they are concerned about the people who have been arrested, which is 7 of them, because they ask, what happened to those people? What did they did wrong? Because they feel that those people didn't do anything wrong. And they also mandated us that when we come from that meeting of sub-council, we must also pop in the police station and ask, what are the charges that are being laid against those people? When we ask, the police officer told us that those people is a violation, it's a public violence. But when we ask, what did they do? They don't answer us. That's why the community is saying, tomorrow, they are also thinking to go up there to say they must also be arrested. Everybody will participate in that because they believe that to stand here, we were doing violence.
I just want to speak to your colleague here as well, Mr. Luvuyo Machisi. You said that the police were a bit heavy-handed in this protest, and obviously your colleague has also mentioned that there were 7 people that were arrested. There were a lot of people that were injured as well. Just the protest did turn very volatile. How are you feeling as leaders in terms of how things panned out?
Thank you, Nomawethu. Obviously, we are not feeling well because people were just shot. They were not even given time to be pushed back, and the people were just singing, and people were never throwing stones to the police. And that was very unfair. We had one lady who's been injured badly, and that is not making us happy as community leaders. And we feel that the police have now, made us look like criminals, which we were not. I don't know what emails were flying around to say this protest would be a violent protest. And anyway, the community wanted just to stay away. And from the previous march that we have done in this area, they know us as a peaceful community. But I think they just took that, and used it against us as a community. And I guess this is why the community has been so angry and things turn out this way. But the community, what triggered them the most now is the issue of being shot without doing anything.
Now, just before I let you guys go, what have you gone back to tell the people of this community after that meeting, and what is going to happen now?
Okay, as we had a site meeting together with the councillor, the chairperson of Sub-Council 1, Cynthia Clayton, and Kenny Skippers, the administrator in the Sub-Council 1, and the architect. We agreed there with the residents that as soon as we get a rough sketch of the plan, then the donor can proceed with construction. We have now that plan after all these delays, which were supposed to be in our hand last week, Wednesday. And now we have it in our hand. We just need to submit it to the donor and then see the donor starting work tomorrow on site. Yes.
Well, thank you very much for your time. That there was Luvuyo Machisi together with his colleague Tobile Maseti telling us more about what is happening here in Atlantis. Like I said, things are a whole lot calmer than what we saw happening in the early hours of this morning. They did have that meeting with the municipality where they've slightly agreed on certain issues. And like I said earlier, the biggest bone of contention here is that hall that the community is demanding. They do have a donor that has come forward to say that they will fund this. The only thing that the municipality needs to do now is to approve those plans. And of course, there are other issues of service delivery, such as clinics, police stations, taxi ranks, that they are demanding as well. But for now, things are still very quiet. With that, it's back to you guys in Johannesburg, Francis.
Thank you very much. Nomawethu Solwandle on the ground talking about a very volatile situation in Atlantis earlier today. With other news, Bongani.
Thank you, Francis. Now, children as